So like I said, even though real standard form is ax plus by equals c, the book often will put that constant on the left side also, so that's fine. The directions are saying we want to find the slope and the y-intercept. The easiest way to do that is to get in the slope-intercept form. So to get it in slope-intercept form, remember we're going to get the y by itself. And so to get the y by itself, we're going to do PEMDAS backwards. So we're going to undo anything added or subtracted to that y value. So right now there's a 12 that's being subtracted, so I'm going to add 12 to both sides. There's also a positive 3x, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides as well. So that would leave me with 6y equals, I'm going to put the negative 3x first because in slope-intercept form, the x comes first, and then the plus 12 after that. And then to get the y totally by itself, to get in the slope-intercept form, we'll divide by 6. And so that gives us y equals negative 1/2. 3 over 6 reduces to negative 1/2, x plus 2. So that gives us, again, the directions are saying what is your slope, what is your y-intercept. Our slope's negative 1/2 because that's the m, that's what's in front of the x. And then our y-intercept is the b, which is out at the end. And remember, y-intercepts are always ordered pairs. It's where the x is 0, so 0, 2 would be our y-intercept. All right, so that's how we can go from standard form to slope-intercept form. And then we're going to just work on getting from other forms of each other. So next part here, if we know it's passing through these 2 points, so you can just say passing through 3, 5, and 8, 15 in your notes. We want to write that equation in all 3 forms. We want to write it in the slope-intercept form, we want to write it in the point-slope form, and we want to write it in the standard form. So no matter what, first thing we always have to do is find our slope. So that's the first thing we're finding is our slope. So I'm going to call this x1, y1, x2, y2. We find our slope. 15 minus 5, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, 8 minus 3. So 15 minus 5 is 10, 8 minus 3 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. So our slope is 2. Then we can choose either one of those points to help us plug in to get point slope form. Okay, so point slope form, remember, is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So if I use the 3, 5, I would have 5 minus y equals 2, because that's our slope, x minus 3, because that's our x. So that is one equation that would work in point slope form. And remember, when it says leave in point slope form, we just leave it in that form. We're not getting anything by itself. Your other one, if I chose to use the 815, I could also have y minus 15 equals 2 times x minus 8. That is another option that you could have had. And then we're getting into slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form is just where we want to get the y by itself. So slope-intercept form, we can choose either one of these 2 equations and get the y by itself. So I'm just going to choose the top one here. So I'm going to distribute the 2 and get y minus 5 equals 2x minus 6. And then just get the y by itself by adding 5. So we have y equals 2x minus 1. That is now in slope-intercept form. I would get the exact same thing if I chose to get the y by itself for the other point slope form equation. It doesn't matter which one you're going to use. And then last one is our general or standard form. And remember, in standard form, we are just trying to get the x and y on the same side. with a positive coefficient for the a, and a, b, and c all have to be integers. So in standard form, I'm starting out, if I start out with y equals 2x minus 1, again, I want my x and y on the same side. I want my coefficient of x to be positive. So right now, my coefficient of x is positive. So I'm going to subtract y, and I'm going to move the 1 to the other side. So that would cancel out my y's, and I'd have 1 on one side, and then I'd have 2x minus y on the other. Again, double checking standard form. All your coefficients have to be integers, meaning non-decimals. 2 is not a decimal. This is -1, not a decimal. This is 1, not a decimal. And my coefficient of the x has to be a positive as well. So that is 2. That works. All right, we'll do one more of those, and you'll get some time to practice, and we'll move on after that. All right, so same question. Now we're just at -3, 6, and 3, -2. So again, x1, y1, x2, y2. Start off doing point slope. Our first thing we're going to do is find our slope. So y2, -2 minus 6, which is y1, over 3 minus a -3. So that would give us -8. Double negatives make positive, -8 over 6. We reduce that to -4/3. All right, so we'll do point slope form first. Again, point slope is y minus y1, so y minus 6 equals our slope's -4/3, x minus a -3, which would be +3. That is in point slope form. That would be an acceptable answer. You could have also used the other point if you want. So it'd be y minus a -2, y plus 2 equals -4/3, and then x minus 3. That's your other possible answer. You don't need both. You just need one. As we go to slope intercept form then, we just have to get the y by itself. So I'm going to distribute the -4/3 into the parentheses. And so that would give me -4/3 x. And then -4/3 times 3. Remember, that'd be 3 over 1. So what's -4/3 times 3 over 1? What's going to happen to our 3's? There's a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. They're going to cancel out. So you're left with just -4. Or if you forget about canceling, you can multiply straight across. -12. 1 times 3 is 3. Either way, it equals -4. And then we get the y by itself by adding 6. So we get y equals -4/3 x plus 2. And then finally, our standard form, we need to get the y by itself. Sorry, for standard form, we need to get the x and y on the same side, and we want our x to be positive. So right now, our x is negative on this side. So I'm going to, in this case, add the 4/3 x. That way, my x becomes positive. So that would leave me with 4/3 x plus y equals 2. Now, the only other thing we got to make sure of is that, like I said, we need all of our coefficients of our variables and our constant to be an integer. So not a decimal, not a fraction. In this case, we have a 4/3 as our coefficient. So similar to how we did these problems before, if I want to get rid of something divided by 3, what can I multiply my entire equation by? 3. So I'm just multiplying this by 3 over 1, and that would give me 12 divided by 3, which is just 4x, or the 3, think of it as the 3's canceling, plus 3y equals 3 times 2 is 6. And that is now in standard form. All right. All right, so you're going to have some time right now to work on some problems, and then we will kind of come back and do a little bit more in a moment. So right now you're working on page 267, 25 to 33 odd. It's the same type. You're writing it in point slope, slope intercept, and then standard form.